Welcome, kings and queens, to another episode of Unapologetic, your number one podcast. This is the show where kings and queens tell their legacies and on. So get ready for the gems to drop and pull up to the table. What up, everybody? I know it's been a while. I've been busy. I also am a co-host on a radio show now, Doug Sims Live on Grander Radio. So my times has been going crazy right now.
Yeah.
But today I have a very special guest. He was also a teacher of mine. I would like to put in perspective. Today we have the one and only Dr. Nesbary in the building right now. It is incredible to actually see his work, but we're gonna get all into that right now, right? So, with no further ado, the man himself. How you doing, Doc?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Um, man, it's been a roller coaster. Understanding and finding out new things and learning new networking skills and building new businesses. It's been a ride. It's been a
It's
ride.
out of control, man. I mean, you're doing lots of different things, so I'm proud of what you're doing.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. But you are a originally a Michigan native.
Yes, I am.
So
Yes.
it's amazing to me how a lot of great and talented minds come from this western part of the world of our country in this cold state, and especially that you're from Muskegon, on top of all the big name Lansing, Kalamazoo, Grand Rapids that most of us hear more often, but Muskegon has had a lot of tsunamis of great people, including yourself. And so I would like to ask, man, what was your upbringing like uh, in order for you to become who you are today?
Well, lots of folks impacted the way that I am today. I think ordinarily uh, uh, people begin with great leaders out in the world and who impacted them, but I think about my family. My my
Mm,
my father, we call him Daddy when I was growing up. My mother, Mama, these were people who were grew up in the country, grew up in basically West Virginia and Tennessee,
wow.
met in Chicago. So my dad was a World War II era soldier.
Oh,
So
oh, wow.
he
Okay.
was a member of the segregated U.S. Army between 1939 and I believe 1942, as were his brothers
That's great.
and one, two, three, four uncles back in the day. So he ended up moving to Chicago after the service and met my mother in Chicago. My grandma, she'd moved to Chicago as well.
Right.
So they met back then and ended up moving to Michigan, moving to actually Bitely, Michigan, if you know where that is, north
No,
of
I never heard of that one.
most
Um,
people haven't. It's small. It's up for Baldwin, Idlewild, those areas.
oh, okay. Yeah, I know what
So
Baldwin is. Okay.
oh yeah, so they moved there and ended up landing in Muskegon County. My dad worked at West Michigan Steel. He got a job, one
Mm.
of the Great Migration, who wanted to find a better life than living in a state where he literally could not vote. And
Right.
so moving to Michigan, it was better. It still had a lot of work to do, but ended up buying 56 acres in rural Muskegon County.
Wow.
And
Mm.
no, get this. Now my eldest sister, Barbara, is 80. She'll be 84, as she will tell you every single day. She's not 83. She's going to be 84, but she's now the owner of the property, and we sold that property
Oh,
last I'll say last Wednesday after 71 years in the family.
wow. Why is that, if you don't mind me asking?
It's it was quite I'll say it was quite the process. From the time we purchased the property, my dad in 51, I was born in 55, and he ended up selling small pieces of it. But and my sister was the only person living there, and the house is
Oh,
all,
okay.
basically falling apart. So we
Right.
wanted to have her in a better spot. And so I'm the baby brother. So I finally convinced her to you really should The
Uh,
facility that home was not in good shape, but the property was still beautiful. So we had a couple. I had last Wednesday I was in Michigan in
that's crazy.
Amherst Township. So that arc of moving from the South in the Great Migration, the second Great Migration, to living my dad living his life and then having the kids grow up and leave the flock and then eventually um, time passes and it was the right time.
That's understandable. Because
Yeah,
after so long, it's like now we got to start our own new beginning, you know?
yes, true.
So I look at it always in a positive outlook. And I understand your sister, man. After seeing and being in that spot and that beautiful scenery and always enjoying that lifestyle, it's hard to let go. That's very
Oh,
difficult. It's
yeah, I
very
see these
difficult.
pictures, the memories that we have there growing up, my cousins coming up visiting from like Detroit and Chicago and places
Right.
down south and whatnot. I mean, the Southerners would always share with us that, man, this looks like home. You
Yeah,
know,
I bet.
it was surrounded by water on a hill, lots of land. We could, just kids running around doing what kids do, parents doing what the parents do, and so
Man, that
it
sounds
was
enjoying
cool.
right now. Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully I'm not taking up too much time on that topic, but
No,
what
you're
made me
fine.
what I am was having parents who think about like 1940s, 1950s. Again, my dad, was unable to vote in Tennessee because of Jim Crow.
Mm,
So, and my mother in West Virginia, a little bit better, but not much. So they moved to a better place for them to live, raise a family, um, raise us in sort of the mold that they had designed for us back, way back when, 60, 70 years, 80 years ago for my sister. So, so I feel them every day in my heart, even though they've been gone for, my dad for about 15 years. My mother passed away very young, at age, I'm going to say 54, so very
oh
young.
wow.
So, but she's in my heart. She's in my mind. She's the person, and my dad, he's the person who made me the person I am today. So that's very, very sort of short synopsis of why I believe I became who I am. But I should mention this: my grandmother, Grandma Fraser, she would call me professor when I was about 10 years old. I wore these glasses, glasses pretty much like these back in the day.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Always had bad vision, so I wore glasses. And so she said, "You look like a professor. You're going to be a professor someday." And so
Wow. So she
uh,
spoke it into existence before you even thought about it.
manifested it.
Yeah.
So Grandma Fraser,
Man, that's
I'm
crazy.
blessed to have someone like her in my life.
So it sounds like your circle is was so sturdy. You know, your father military, mother very nurturing, caring, very on top of you, of course, with education. I would
Oh
make
yeah.
so, and then on top of that, your grandmother, just sealed the deal for it all. It sounds like. So I want to get into uh, the year of 1973 Reese Puffer. If
Reese
that
Puffer
if that
Rockets, 1973. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
if I could ring that memory up,
I'm a proud
what
Rush.
was that like going through, school um being able to become this great instrument player? It's a two-in-one question, because you were you playing the trombone then? Because you're known for that instrument very well.
It depends on who you talk to, man.
Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, of course. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, yeah. Back then, I was dead serious about playing an instrument. So my background, that is a Shire's Q series bass trombone, and
Mm.
I got that maybe a year or two ago. Mother had another bass trombone that met an untimely demise. It just sort of fell down, ended up, and so got a new horn. But back in the day, I was playing I mean, as much as I could. I wanted to be an athlete, wanted to be a musician, but I was a much better musician than I was an athlete.
Really?
Yeah, I'm 6'4", back then I weighed like 210, and I had physical capacity, but we had a 6'8" center. We had two guys who were all state guards. And I mean, people don't know this about Reese Perfect, man. Back in the day, man, they were running some hoops. So we had some great players who, and
Oh yeah.
the first
I,
time we defeated Muskegon Heights in basketball was after my senior year. Like I was a
so
freshman at
wait a
Michigan
minute.
State.
So I'm
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt. So
Oh man, it's all right.
you didn't get the chance to get the title yourself?
No, man, Muskegon Heights, they've always been great, 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 great. So for
Wow.
our 6'8" center, they had a 6'8" center. They had great guards. They had great forwards. They had players, man, who would just wear you out. We had guys too. So finally,
Yeah.
got over the hump. But for me, I played, I made my first gig money, I think in 11th grade,
Mm.
playing a gig at Spring Lake, um, a Holiday Inn. I mean, that may still be there. I don't know, but
Yeah, it
um,
I think so.
yeah, there was Robert Moore, who was the band director at Muskegon Heights. He called my band director. He needed a trombone player to play a gig with him, and so said, "You got anybody?" He says, "Well, yeah, Nesbary's okay." So Mr. Moore, as I called him back then, said, "Yeah, I need a horn player. Can you read? Can you do this?" I said, "Yeah, you put the charts in front of me, put the songs in front of me. I should do okay." So
Okay.
that was the first time I actually played for money. And then after that, I'd done lots of gigs with lots of different people, done lots of say classical, popular, that kind of thing.
Mm.
Uh, I found out that I was the first musician at Reese Buffer in its history to win I guess a state title, if you call it that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
first year in their in the state's Youth Arts Festival honors band, which means that you know
Mm.
you you try out in solo ensemble, local and state, and then they bring everybody together. Then you have a state festival, and then I got that too. So I could
That's
read pretty well.
crazy. So you made history without even knowing that you was making history.
Yeah,
You was
somebody
just
told me that I was like, yeah, right. And so because there were some great players at Reese Buffer before me, but
right.
none
I
did that.
understand.
So I was
Yeah.
like, that's pretty cool.
So
So it's quite like it.
they didn't blow your mind like other people would be like going crazy like oh my God I really for real like
Well, see, if like I was playing with people from other areas too around the state, and I tell people so at Michigan State undergrad,
mm,
I was in a lot of different bands. I mean, I'm going on about music, but this gives you perspective on your life about no matter how strong you think you are,
yeah
there's always someone else. I mean, every single year. So I was top guy in the state my year, but every single year there's a top person in their state on their instrument,
right
and there's 50 states, and there's all these countries out there, all these
yeah of
nations.
course
So there's lots of people who can play, and none of them really think that much about, at least from my perspective, excuse me, how much better they are than the next person. But
mm,
they want to play a gig, and they want people to play that gig and do well. And so I get to Michigan State, and there's like all these guys who can play. And I mean, I was one of the better players there, but man,
right
we had people who'd played for years, graduate students, doctoral students, and whatnot.
wow
I played in a band that, um, the top player from Michigan, U of M, was in a band with me, a big band, 17-piece big band. And she was just tremendous. She played lead, and no one
mm.
could imagine that this woman could play lead trombone. I would roll her out. It was Ava Ordman. Ava, these guys don't think you can play, and she was modest, and
right
it's okay, man. Ava, hit this double high up just to let them know that
that you
you're no
got it
joke.
yeah
And she wouldn't do it until we played it in a song, which is even more difficult. But if you
mm.
have people like that, it's like it gives you, a lot of people do this humble bragging stuff.
yeah
Ava, she never bragged about her ability. She just played.
so she let her work do the talking pretty much
Oh yeah, yeah. And if you do that, then you're going to make whatever money you want to make out of music, or you're going to get the enjoyment out of music, which I mean, I demonstrate by, so if I have a Zoom or Google Meet, Teams, usually there's an instrument or something like that in my background. So
Right.
it,
That's
it's still,
amazing.
music's given me just so much in my life. So sorry for that. That was about a 10-minute rant. I
Man,
apologize. It's your valuable
but that's
time.
awesome. It gives us a perspective. It gives me a perspective of the way that you think, you're because you have done so many big things. For example, you have a PhD in law, social and I want to say, is it
It,
political
it's
science?
it's it's changed over time. So the degree when I earned it was, well, I have my Northeastern University coffee mug here,
Right.
a PhD in law, policy, and society from Northeastern University in Boston.
Wow.
So